What's up, people? It's your girl Adiola. Oga Buhari, you're welcome. Congratulations on your daughter's wedding. As you guys can see, most big people in Nigeria don't give out their daughters before the age of 18. Me, I'm just saying, you know, in Mr. President's case, he made sure that his daughters finished college in Europe. Who for that? I don't think that those girls belong in the kitchen. But you know, that's not what I want to talk about today. By the way, Mama Patience filed a $200 million lawsuit against EFCC for freezing her $15 million account. Okay, let's not talk about that today, because her husband was in UK recently saying that he fought against corruption in his time. I was like, oh God, you know, you should have started with your wife. Anyway, he also said that Dasuki did not steal anything. But you know, that is not what we want to talk about today. Sokoto State gave out 31 million naira to 775 parents for them to send their children to school. Isn't that wonderful? I was so excited about that, like, you know, but that is not what I want to talk about today. Also, Mr. President just launched, you know, they call it 7 big wins to grow Nigeria's oil sector, focusing on the Niger Delta, security, transparency, accountability, and so on and so forth. You know, very nice. That is very nice. But why do we need to publish a book, Mr. President, on the 7 things that you are going to do? Why don't you just do it, you know? And if it's successful, someone can write a book about it. Or is it just me that think like that? But, you know, we're not going to talk about that. Today, I'm going to talk about the $29 billion. Mr. President, you're welcome. They said you want to borrow another 29 billion. Father, it's true. A lot of people say that every government borrows. You know, they said without borrowing, you can't develop a country. But why $29 billion? That is a lot of money. My dear, how much is our debt before we had another $29 billion?
How much does Nigeria owe right now?
Well, how much Nigeria as a country?
Owes, yes.
No, you have, what I'm talking about is that you have different, in different ministries.
I know, but overall, how much is Nigeria's debt?
I couldn't give you the exact figure.
Oh boy, is that not the Minister of Budget?
But I can get back to you on
But you're
that.
the Minister of the Budget.
Sorry?
You're a Minister of the Budget. So tell us, how much does Nigeria owe?
I can tell you the fiscal deficit. I can tell you the fiscal deficit. But until everybody,
he doesn't know. At an economic forum, and he doesn't know. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't borrow money, but we have a serious problem with mismanagement and lack of accountability in Nigeria.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says about $20 trillion has been stolen from the Treasury by leaders between 1960 and 2005. By the year 2000, $100 billion had been stolen, with an external debt of $33 billion.
Here in America, you don't give loans to someone unless he or she has good credit history. You that are watching me, if your neighbor doesn't know how to manage money, you won't borrow him shishi, okay? Even if he's crying till tomorrow. It's the same thing with Nigeria. We've been doing borrow before I was born, and they will always tell us that the money would go towards infrastructural development. You know, you would think that by now Nigeria should at least be like South Africa. But look at our roads. Look, I mean, every year they are allocating money on all these roads. Many of our roads are death traps. In many of our tertiary institutions in Nigeria, we don't have functioning toilet, common toilet. It's not like we don't have toilet, but students would prefer to go in the bush to poo-poo than to use these toilets that we have in some of our polytechnics and college of educations and universities. Have you been there? I'm saying that we never really use the money for what we said that we would, yet we keep borrowing. You know, we keep getting more and more in debt. Does that make sense to you? Why can't we start by cutting down the cost of governance in Nigeria? That will even reduce how much we have to borrow, reduce all the salaries that are reducible. Benny, how can the president allocate 445 million naira on food? Kinonje, now waiting then the chop. Asorok wants to spend 764 million on recreational activities. 764 million. State House alone wants to spend 27 million naira on computers. What happened to the computers that they bought the previous year? And let's not forget about how our governors are wasting money left and right, building houses all over the country. Why should one governor have 15 drivers? I'm saying that we can cut down the cost of governance. You know, as much as we have recession in Nigeria, our officials are still living large, and part of the money that we borrow goes into maintaining their appetite. So they chop our money and then they do Thanksgiving and upload it online. Hey, did I ask you? Did I say offend you? Have I said I did not stole money? What is your problem? You better mind yourself. Remind me again what this man has done for his constituency. You don't know. Me too, I don't know. And this is a man that used to drink Gary and Ekpa. He was an activist in school days. Oh boy, did I ask you, why are you putting up his poverty pictures? You are disrespecting your guy, and I don't like it. Take it off, Jare. As I was saying, now all we say is Dino 1, Dino 2, Dino 10. Some people are even saying that Dino has up to 28 cars. You want to tell me he's buying all these cars with his own money? Yes, Nigerians will say, leave him. It is his time to chop. Na national cake. Some of you don't know that as they are chopping the national cake, they are chopping your future, the future of your children. Jonathan and Ngozi borrowed $9 billion in 2013. They also said that it will go towards infrastructure, agriculture, and employment generation. Are you telling me that we spent $9 billion on the trains constructed during Jonathan's administration? Like, seriously, because I don't see the employment generation that they talked about. So what happened to the rest of the money? Now Buhari is telling us that the $29 billion will also be used to develop infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, and employment. They basically repeat the same thing each time they want to borrow money. I'm not saying that Buhari will steal the money or that he doesn't have the intention to do these things that he said he would do. My fear is that if we don't deal with mismanagement, embezzlement, and lack of accountability in Nigeria, half of this money that we're about to borrow will also end up being mismanaged once they are allocated. You know, Buhari cannot oversee everything once it is allocated. And also, our mentality in Nigeria needs to change. Whenever somebody is appointed into public office, Nigerians will start saying this is his time to chop national cake. His family members also see his appointment as their own avenue to get contracts, even his distant relations. And then before you know it, when you allocate money to build roads, they will chop 80% of the money, and then they will do a cosmetic job that will start falling apart within 6 months. Meanwhile, the poor people keep suffering. Thanks to Bami Ogundamisi, this man uploaded pictures of the food that they are giving to our soldiers, the soldiers that are fighting Boko Haram. Just 2 sachets of pure water in one day for our soldiers. Doesn't that break your heart? You know, this is supposed to be fufu and ogbono. I make ogbono soup. My ogbono doesn't come out like this. Why should our soldiers be it? And then they said they serve them cold food. Haba. All because the organs at the top have chopped the money allocated for our soldiers' food. Benny, you see what I'm saying? Mismanagement has globalized every aspect of our lives. Once again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't borrow money, but if we don't deal with the problem of mismanagement, 10 years, 20 years from now, we will still be borrowing money with nothing to show for it. And of course, it is my generation that will have to pay. Now we are owing China, we are owing World Bank, we are owing Japan. Father, where do they want us to find the money to pay back? They are not even thinking about us, the children. Why don't we start with, maybe 1 billion, and let's see what you do with it before we start borrowing 29 billion. You guys not done anything or waiting be my own. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.
Growing up in Kenya, my sister and I were very close. But like any sisters, we fought a lot. She always got new clothes, and I always got hand-me-downs. Now she's putting her children through school in Kenya. We still fight sometimes, especially when I send money for the kids. I tell her, buy some clothes for the younger one, and we both laugh.
With nearly 500,000 locations, our app and online, this is moving money for better.